This concept is so simple, but we as humans, we make it overcomplicated.
I'm joined today by two incredible gentlemen from our American area of the company. I've got Chey O'Brien here joining us for the first time on the podcast, and I've got Garrett making his second appearance.
They overlook when they add the system into their lifestyle.
Financial game time is happening all the time for you.
The act of the repetition and the practice, adding it in and just making it part of everyday life, I think that's really a missing key piece.
That's how we learn, is through practice. The quicker and the faster you can go through those repetitions, that's how we learn, is through practice. That's how we begin to really absorb things and internalize them and get really good at them. You get good at sports through practice. They literally call it practice. Oh, where are you going today? Oh, I got practice basketball. Oh, coaches needs me to be there. You might have to run lines. You might have to do laps. You got to do all these things because you're practicing with your body. You're training your body and the muscles to do better when it comes to game time. Okay, well, financial game time is happening all the time for you. Do you want to jump into the game with no practice and not be prepared when a big decision comes up? Or do you want to make sure you have enough reps and you've been to enough practices with the team and with the coach before you jump into game time? That's the big financial decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Never used this analogy before, so I hope you guys like this.
No, it's good.
All right. So the more that you can institute getting some of those repetitions early on, the more success you'll likely have with this process. Now, that doesn't mean you got to do granular, $100 policy loans on every little thing, but it's about making some of those commitments. And to kind of circle back to your question, Chey, it's like, look, do you need to run a bunch of your expenses through a policy? Some people really want to do that, and they've figured out a way to do it that works for them. But just because it works for one person doesn't mean it works for everyone. I can tell you personally, I don't run a ton of my expenses through, like, I do some of them, but not like a ton through the system. And the only reason I don't do that is because, to me, it becomes transactional, can become a transactional burden. I don't want to be over transactionalized. Does that make sense? A colleague of ours, Vern McCarty, great guy. He's shared, from some of his stages and some of our events, how he does it. He kind of does it on a quarterly model. So he's got multiple policies in the family. He's got a wife, 2 kids, he's got a business partner, he's got a bunch of people, insured. And the way that he does it is, like, every quarter I take a big giant loan and I use that. I know what my budget is. I have a very clear and defined budget for my day-to-day living expenses. I have that now set aside for 3 months. I draw that down, and then every new dollar that comes in goes to policies. It goes to loans if no premium is due. It goes to premium if premium is due. So he just looks at it that's how simple he keeps it.
That's so nice.
Now, that's one way. That's just one way of doing it for one guy, one family. Okay. Yeah. Some people might do that on an annual basis.
Look, we want your family to have more money. That's our goal. That's our job. At Wealth on Main Street, our goal is to have you keep as much of that hard-earned capital where it belongs, with the people you love and care about. Easy way to do that, pick up a copy of this book, Don't Spread the Wealth. This book is all about keeping the money in the family. Think of it like an aquarium. The money never leaves, and you can use it and reuse it as many times as possible. Go ahead and pick up a copy today at don'tspreadwealth.com.
But the reality is, he's been doing it for a while. He's been capitalizing for a while. He had some policies that were some small ones he started like 15 years ago before he learned about infinite banking. So there's some momentum built. There's some things he has to work with. And he's also putting substantial premium into his system. If you're, have you ever thought about, if you think about having, like, it's summertime, you have like a pool, you want to fill like one of those inflatable pools, and all you have is a little garden hose to fill it, it's going to take you a long time to fill it, right?
Yeah.
But if it takes all day and it's a really hot day and you started in the morning and you can't use the pool until night when it's cooled down, how much use did you get out of the pool? And then the next day it's going to be cold. So what was the point of getting started in the first place?
Yeah.
There was no point, right? You didn't have enough flow of energy, of water coming into the big pool. If you needed to enjoy the pool and get its purpose utilized, you needed a lot more volume of water coming in a short time frame. So that's policy design and a commitment level to capitalize and pay more premium. So you just got to recognize, are you trying to do too much with too little of a system? And those are good conversations to have with your coach. Some people get it in their mind that they want to do A, B, and C, but they're not building and committing to being able to do A, B, and C. They want their cake and eat it too, but they're not even ready to bake the cake.
Yeah. One of the things that you said that I really liked is just the practice and the repetition. And I think when we're reading Nelson's book or watching all these videos, we're taking something so simple that Nelson says this concept is so simple, but we as humans, we make it overcomplicated. And just the act of the repetition and the practice, like you said, taking something new and adding it in and just making it part of everyday life, creating those new habits, those new repetitions. I think that's really a missing key piece that people they overlook when they add the system into their lifestyle.
And those are the behavior elements that this is really all based on. So
Yeah.
yes, oh man, newsflash, we use insurance policies. Get over it. Okay, it's an insurance policy. It's like not that big of a deal. But you have to use it. It's the key word there is use.
Yeah.
Use is in the activity and the actions that you do. That's the banker's role. That's you as the banker. It's making the rules, making the decisions, doing the actions, creating the habits and the behaviors.
Watch more amazing, great clips from our episodes right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.